frequencies open. Welcome to Trek Retrek, episode 17 on Geek the F Out. I'm Captain Johnny.
I'm Ensign Kayla.
And this week we are talking about the Squire Gothos. TVGuide.com says, on an uncharted planet, Kirk and his crew become the playthings of a spoiled, petulant being called Trelane, who is fascinated by his human toys. I've heard it. Trelane,
Human toys.
Yeah, human toys.
I've
I've heard it. Trelane. I thought during the Strange New Worlds crossover, Mariner said Trelane, but maybe I'm misremembering. But throughout this whole episode, it was Trelane, so that's got to be what it is.
Trelane.
Yeah.
Not tree lane, like a street.
Yeah.
Shall we get into it?
Sure. Let's before we get into it, let's remind everybody to do all the requisite social media things.
You're doing the reminding.
Yeah.
How the turntables have turned.
So
yes. Smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon. Follow us on GTFO channel on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads.
Everything.
If you want to email us, you can email us at channelgtfo@gmail.com. It's just switched. It's the opposite of our socials. Those two
necessity.
Words. Yeah.
Acronym and word. Yeah.
Yes, acronym and word. I'm like, the first one is not a word. It is an acronym. Thank you. But yeah, I mean, you can wait till the end of the episode because, yeah, I mean, but still, appreciate the likes. Anyways, let's get into it. There is no star date to begin with. And, but right off the bat, the cups are back, baby.
Cup Watch 2023.
Fucking back.
2 episodes in a row. We've had a major gap.
Cupgate.
Where there's no cups. What'd you say?
No.
Cup what?
Cupgate.
Cupgate. No cups. The cups were gone.
That's what we're gonna have to investigate is why they were gone. So it's Cupgate.
My heart was broken. I thought we were never gonna see the cups again.
Forefront and center these last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Just they made
their triumphant return.
They did. I don't know. Like you know when people do like the cupping on their body?
Yeah.
There's like facial cupping too.
Yeah.
Which didn't we use that in our very first memes? Because the suction. Yes.
Yeah. For
the suction.
For Nancy, the salt vampire, which stay tuned.
The man trap.
The man trap.
Trapping all the men.
Yeah, go ahead. What else what
okay.
What are your other notes?
Then my next note is Bones always poking fun of Spock, as usual. And then, you know, Kirk and Sulu just disappear out of nowhere. And they're like vanished without a trace.
Yeah, I did have one thing slightly before that, because it's Kirk, I believe, who says they find the planet and Kirk says something about note the discovery, but discovery is in italics in the subtitles. Which means it's the name of something. So I'm thinking he's talking about a starship Discovery. So there's a USS Discovery that I think gets mentioned.
I was wondering that too. I didn't see that it was in italics in the subtitles, but I was wondering that. Interesting.
Yeah, I forget exactly how he phrased it.
Very interesting. Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch that scene.
Yeah. But okay, continue.
Okay.
They vanish.
But then Spock does the star date after that, so that makes a little more sense because they vanish. Like, that makes sense now.
2125.7.
Okay. I love how every time you say them, I'm just like, all right, numbers. I had no idea. They all are numbers to me.
Well, this was 2125.7, and the last episode was 2821.5. So this is technically way before.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hmm.
what was the Galileo 7? I'm like, what was the name of the last episode? The
Oh, don't
Galileo
ask
7.
me. I don't know what my name is.
It's literally on the screen.
No. No, it's not. What are you talking about? um so yeah, they decide to go down and try to find them, which is just who is it? Bones and two other people initially?
Yeah, Bones
Was it-
and shit, what are their names?
Yeah, they don't matter.
Jaeger and
Jaeger.
DeSalle.
Oh, DeSalle, because then he makes the French joke
Yeah.
or like talks French to him later. And then they get some writing on the screen.
Yeah.
It says hip hip
Tally ho.
hurrah, tally ho. And I love Spock's line of, I believe it's pronounced tally ho. Like how he said it was so funny. So funny. Because it was very matter of fact, but I think anyone else that would say it as a joke, but he was literally saying like, I believe it's pronounced, like genuinely saying that.
I think
um
yeah, and they also one of the screens also comes up with the word felicitations, which this is the
mhm.
only place I've ever heard that word. Like,
Same. I thought it said something else at first, and then I was like, I don't think it's that. Like I think it thought it said flirtations, and I was like, that's weird.
yeah, I couldn't make it. I couldn't actually make it out on the screen. I wasn't sure what the first couple of
Mhm.
letters were, but then they said it out loud, and I was
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
felicitations. Hmm.
Yeah, I've never heard that outside of this either. Um yeah, and they get down there, and apparently the atmosphere is fine,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting because all of their equipment said otherwise.
Yeah, essentially
Um
this was Mustafar, like to
yes.
Star Wars, like it's just a volcanic planet that
Mhm.
is not,
Volcanic planet.
yeah, uh not very welcoming for
Yeah.
humanoid life.
Yeah. So that was the first clue that like something was up, and then they aren't able to communicate back with the Enterprise, and they're like, "Ah, shit." And then they just, stumble upon a castle
Yep.
out of nowhere, which is funny cuz you only see the door, so I'm guessing, budget purposes from showing the whole
Yeah,
thing.
just a facade.
Yeah. Um Yeah, and then they go in and they find Kirk and Sulu, and they're like wax figures slash statues, essentially, just
Mm-hmm.
stuck there.
But
And
but
then,
before that, we saw
oh,
the salt vampire. Like when they're passing by, they see a couple creatures in the wall. The first one they pass by is the salt vampire from the Man Trap. Did you miss
I
that?
missed it. I missed it. I watched it twice and I missed this. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
Nancy's there.
Nancy? I'm literally gonna pull this up right now. Can I show this on screen?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure.
Holy shit!
We had to.
How did I miss this?
I don't know. We had to take a break so
Yeah,
Kayla could
I
go
needed to find it.
find Nancy in the Squire of Gothos. Yeah, she's right
Wow,
there.
I clearly was writing down something at that point.
Must have been. Maybe you're
I'm
looking. Yeah.
Yeah, or just looking at my phone or
They
something, or dogs.
they show her
Go
again
ahead.
later when I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I don't want to forget about
They
it.
show her again?
Yeah, it's the first thing when Trelane has the phaser.
Stop
He
saying tree
shoots
lane.
Trelane. When Trelane has the phaser, he shoots that first. That's the first thing he disintegrates.
Oh, probably because I only really saw it once it was disintegrated.
Yeah.
Okay, that checks out. Wow,
But yeah,
interesting. They're pulling the like Pixar Easter eggs up in here now, calling
yeah.
back to their own shit. So, but if why is that in there then? Do they just want to like throw something in there and be like funny, like, oh, this isn't a previous episode, but like, why would Trelane have it
Why would Trelane
if
not
he's
have it?
But he's only known about their race 900 years
Yeah.
prior,
Yeah, that's a fair assessment.
not
I don't know if he's
17 episodes
necessarily
ago.
being 100% honest with them,
That's fair.
considering. Yeah, I don't know.
That's fair. Anywho, yeah, he is my note about him is like, who the fuck is this dude?
Kind of had a whole
That's funny.
Trelane thing going on back then. Don't say Q.
Yeah. um yeah, I was like, this dude is very interesting, and he keeps saying he's a retired general. Why
Yeah,
does that fucking matter?
I don't know. He's a weirdo.
And apparently a child,
Yes.
or at least someone's kid, at
Yeah.
least those green green floating things child. I don't know.
Do we just want to
Anyways,
talk about him as a whole, since we're kind of on the subject, or do you want to go through the rest of your
let's just
notes
go
and we'll
through.
do it at
Yeah.
the end?
Yeah, he's kind of a piece of shit too, because
Well,
he's
yeah.
misogynistic, racist, is about to kiss, who's the blonde girl's name?
Have it.
Is about to kiss her, essentially assaulting her.
Teresa.
So Teresa.
Yeoman Teresa Ross.
Yeah. So he's not good. But yeah, and he is essentially like when he does that march for what's his face?
For Jaeger.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, this isn't good. You're not good. And then
No.
yeah, he like with everything he says and does, I'm just like, ooh, yeah, you're really bad. Like this is clearly 900 years ago that you studied
Yeah.
humans.
He idolizes the
But also could be 2023 because
yeah. Because he idolizes, like he idolizes Napoleon too, and then talks about the
Hamilton
stuff,
and Burr.
yeah.
Whole bunch of not great stuff. Yeah, and his women comments, yeah, and then he's even like racist towards Spock too. And then yeah, of course makes all those comments to Ahura. And it's like, oh yeah, like you picked her up, blah blah blah, and Kirk just like plays along with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't good.
Yeah, that like I know, like, yeah, the things that Kirk says are also problematic in the scheme of things, but I know the
I
reasoning
thought
why
he was
was
just
doing
playing
it.
along.
He was definitely just playing along. He was trying to like deceive Trelane into thinking that like he was friendly towards him. Yeah, so it's obviously not something that Kirk agrees with.
Totally. Oh, especially because he like pulls him back before he tries to kiss Teresa. And even like how he introduces them, like introduces their ranks and everything and their positions. And then I think it's later on Kirk says something to the effect of like they're like essential people. Like they're not just like objects.
Yeah, everybody on the ship is essential to the operation of the ship. Something to that effect.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah, and then while Trelane and Teresa are dancing, which suddenly she gets a whole new outfit, which reminded me of the one from Shore Leave
Yeah.
a little bit. Just a wee bit. They're like, oh, like what's going on here? Where is he getting his power? Like clearly there's some kind of machine, but like it would have to be a really big machine, which they talked about computers. And then they're like, well, it wouldn't be able to fit in here. And then they realize he keeps lingering around the mirror and looking at the mirror. And they're like, oh, maybe it's just his ego. And they're like, maybe it's a little bit more than that. Which, if anyone's seen Silo, made me think of Silo. I won't say why, but if you know, you know.
That's one of the. Is that
Which
an Apple TV?
Apple TV is real good. Real good. Highly recommend. Um, but I was like, ooh, is that where Silo got their idea from? Um, and then oh yeah, and then Trelane also makes a comment like, you fight to like possess women, essentially. I'm paraphrasing. And I was like, oh god, he keeps just getting worse. Like, dear God. And then Kirk slaps him and nothing happens. He doesn't move. Which once again, we always gotta have slapping.
Yeah, one of your four. Kirk has to get in a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Kiss someone,
Kiss
awkwardly
someone,
hug
awkwardly
someone,
hug, or be shirtless.
or be shirtless. Yeah. So we got
Yes.
one of the Kirk Quattro.
Checked one off. Specifically slapping too. They love to do a good old slapping of something. Uh and so Kirk devises this plan, which I was like, how far ahead did he think of doing a duel, or was he just thinking of kind of doing any kind of duel with him and somehow breaking the mirror? Because like, to think that he would automatically think that Trelane would do a shooting duel instead of just like sword fighting or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious how far ahead, because kind of a stretch that he would go that direction, because obviously he had to do whatever Trelane wanted to do at the end of the day.
Right.
But yeah, it was still smart. But then Trelane's like, I'm gonna go first, and I'm like, and then he shoots at the ceiling.
Yeah. Uh,
That was weird. That was very weird. I thought maybe he was just gonna miss, but like, I guess because he wants to keep playing with them, maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why he did that, to keep him around.
so Memory Alpha says during the duel, Trelane delopes, and then in parentheses says throws away his shot. And I'm like, I don't know that word, so I looked it up, and it is apparently French. Is
Hmm.
the delope is the practice of deliberately wasting one's first shot in a pistol duel in an attempt to abort the conflict. So I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe the Kirk is, Kirk's pretty smart, and he's a pretty good tactician. Like we've seen that
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times with him playing chess and whatnot. So maybe he realized, because of Trelane's outfit and particularly his talking about Napoleon, that he would go for the pistol duel, and then he obviously expected that they would fire simultaneously and he would probably get out of the way and shoot the mirror. Didn't work. To
Mm-hmm.
his
Yeah.
vast amount of luck, Trelane, shot at the ceiling.
Super lucky. Yeah, I figured they would just shoot at the same time, and then when that didn't happen, I'm like, okay. And then when Trelane was going first, I was like, okay, well, how is he gonna get out of this one?
Mm-hmm.
That good old plot armor. uh, yeah, it is interesting. So yeah, he shoots at the mirror, exposing the machine, destroying the machine, or whatever the fuck it is. Um, which is a crazy thing to think about how that works. Not gonna even like attempt, because my brain cannot process. It's just like time travel. I'm like, I'm just gonna take it at face value. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
Time
then
travel.
yeah, and then they get back. They transport back, thanks to Spock. Um, and Teresa comes up to him and is like, "Can I go back and change?" And he's like, "Yeah," but proceeds to stare at her boobs and then watches her walk away. Like, you took 2 steps forward, 1 step back there, Kirk. You were so close. You were so close. Yeah, so that was great.
They made the comment
Uh
like Unless is his comment in your lines?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hard to believe that never happened, which I was curious
Oh,
if he meant like him and her hooking up.
yeah. I wasn't quite
I didn't understand that.
sure where he was going with that.
Yeah, because he
Like,
said it after she walked away, and he's like, "Mm-mm-mm."
yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the.
Okay. It wasn't just me that was confused by that
I was
line.
thinking more about his line about the ball, the glass, like turn in your glass slippers. The ball's over.
I missed that.
Yeah, she says, uh, turn in your glass
Oh,
slippers. The ball is over, and she says, "Gladly, Captain," and then she leaves.
okay. I think I was too focused on
On
him
him.
being a creep. um, because I thought maybe it was either him referring to like, oh, they never hooked up, hard to believe that never happened, or hard to believe that never happened what they just went through. I don't know, but then it
Yeah,
would say that ever happened. It
the
was
only
weird.
thing
It was
I
weird.
can take it as when he says hard to believe that never happened is like hard to believe that he never noticed her before, like essentially like you were saying, like
Something
hooked up
like
with
that.
her,
Yeah.
pursued her, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I don't know. I That's the only thing that makes
Courted
sense to
her,
me. Yeah.
took her to the movies.
It would be different if like the whole Trelane stuff ended up being like a weird dream sequence and he's like hard to believe that never actually happened, but that's not the case.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from that, that it was maybe a weird dream sequence. Like that's something someone would say after that, but it
Yeah.
wasn't.
No. So, yeah. Don't worry. I was
Um,
just as confused as you were about that particular line.
okay. Wasn't just me, thank God.
Mm-mm.
And then all of a sudden, this planet is chasing them.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I didn't, but I almost put in my spoilers without context the shot of Obi-Wan. That's no moon.
Oh, that would have been a good one. Um, or it even reminds me of the little like training ball that
Yeah.
Luke uses, and I guess Grogu. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was crazy. And then Kirk's like, I gotta handle this, and he beams down into a courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And is on trial essentially with Trelane, and Trelane has the wig on and everything, and then you see the noose, and basically like Kirk loses and he's guilty, but then he's like, this is too easy for you, Trelane, like, don't you want more? Oh, what the fuck did he say? More out of this, or more of a fight, I guess, or to make it more interesting. I can't remember exactly what he says. um but basically, uh yeah, he's like, oh yeah, this is just like too easy.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. um and oh yeah, and Trelane's like super excited that he feels anger. That was funny. He's like, oh, I feel
Yeah.
anger. I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. Never felt anger before, I guess I don't know, we don't know these beans. These
Mm-mm.
beans.
These
Beans,
beans.
beans, the magical fruit. Apparently it's musical fruit. It's obviously your generation thing. Sorry. I don't know what's happening. Anyways. Yeah, so then they decide to go on a hunt,
Mm-hmm.
which was interesting that he he's like, "Oh, can I call, like, like, can we what the fuck is the word? Something with the stakes. Raise the stakes.
Okay.
Um and let the Enterprise fly away, essentially." And he's like, "Sure." And he's like, "Okay, will you give me a second to call them and do that?" And he's like, "Yeah." But then he comes out
Yeah,
right
like
after that.
he tells
Which he
them
kept
that.
saying like, "Oh, you better hide well," but then he like can't get in touch with them either. So
Well, that's yeah.
Um,
Part of that was Kirk's fault because he went out and tried to contact them and couldn't, and then he stayed in that same place. Like he didn't move very far, and he's just like,
mm-mm,
Enterprise, Enterprise, come in. And then Trelane comes out
mm-hmm.
and it's like, dude, you should have
Yeah. Wait.
bolted
Yeah, that
and
too.
then tried to call them, like tried to
Yeah.
contact them.
Yeah. And then during the hunt, the whole, I guess it was there at the beginning when they were walking up to the castle, but the background is just a green screen. Did you notice
Yeah,
that?
I noticed it when Jaeger DeSalle and McCoy were walking through towards the castle, that it was
Mhm.
just the background was just green. Uh
Mhm.
but I figured they were just trying to give the effect of the like that's what the sky was
Yeah, it's
like.
like or like the forest, more of the forest.
Yeah.
Um yeah, and then they duel and then he gets the sword, but then Kirk throws the sword.
Yeah.
I was like, why the fuck did you throw it? Which I thought for a second maybe it was supposed to be a shot where the sword disappeared out of his hand, so he was just throwing it to like get that shot. You know what I mean? Like they were gonna shoot like right before he had it in his hand and then when it was gone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't remember him. I'm trying to think. I don't remember him throwing the
He
sword. I
like
remember
throws it
him
into the
like throwing a
bushes.
stick.
And he just throws it into the bushes because I thought that he thought they were gonna like fist fight or something instead.
Mm.
Um, I don't know.
Yeah, he might. I
Um,
think he was just throwing. I am remembering it now. I think he was just throwing it to get it out of play. But then Trelane
yeah,
does what you were
he does
talking
another
about. Like
sword.
it brings it right back to his hand. Yeah.
Exactly. Um, and then Kirk breaks the sword
Yeah.
super easily, which I was
Barely an
wondering if that's
inconvenience.
maybe part of the whole like how the food didn't have any taste, the fire didn't have any heat. Like he knows of these things, but not of their what the fuck
Right.
was the phrase that Spock used? Like their what the fuck is that word? Not value.
I don't remember.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I
When
know what
Spock
you're
says
talking about.
that?
I know what he said, but I don't remember the words
Okay.
that he said to describe it. But like
Yeah.
their
Which was
properties.
such a good way of saying it. Yeah, their properties, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I was wondering maybe if, yeah, he saw these swords but didn't realize that like you can't just like snap them over your knee.
Yeah.
At least no human can. um, so I was curious if maybe that was part of it, or they were just like, let's have Kirk break this sword in half because that's totally doable. Um, and then we get Trelane's Wizard of Oz parents in the
Yeah.
sky. It
Yeah.
was literally just like a little kid that's been caught in trouble, and apparently in their universe, world, whatever, they just give their kids planets to play with, and
Yeah.
then they can play with other beings, magical fruit. Um, and then he just turns into this whiny little kid. He's like, I would have beat him. Like
I would have
you
won.
saw what was going.
Honest.
I would have, I would have. And then it just like slowly, the like light gets smaller next to him, and he fizzles away. Um,
Which props to the actor who played Trelane as William Campbell. He did a really good job, like switching
he
from
did.
the cocky, like um in control, like villain to like the petulant
Mm-hmm.
child.
Yeah, he did. He did do a good job. But you kind of got hints of that childlikeness throughout the episode, so I think it made it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit easier. So I think that was both on like writing, direction, acting going into that last bit. Um yeah, and then my very last thing is what Kirk described him as, so I'll save that line.
Um, yeah, I don't have
That's
much
it
to.
for me though.
I don't have much to say that you didn't already say. There's a bit where like Ahora's at the harpsichord and Trelane's talking to her, and she's just giving this look like, is this bitch for real?
Yes. Yes.
And then
That was great.
yeah, Trelane is interesting, and obviously because of the Strange New Worlds crossover with Lower Decks, you know there's someone or something called Q. Trelane is kind of like proto Q, but Q is done much better. Q shows up in Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's a very interesting thing. So
Okay.
there's something to look forward to in
Okay.
like 2 or 3 years when we
Oh
well,
my
we're not
God.
that far. Like a year and a half when we start Next Generation.
Jesus. 12 years later.
So that pretty much does it for general episode thoughts. Do you want to go to lines and
Lines.
moments?
Yeah. Already said the one where Spock goes, I believe it's pronounced tally ho. And then I liked Bones' line of, in the name of heaven, where are we? Mostly because it also related to our Lost stream we just did, because Charlie says, guys, where are we? And then Trelane to Kirk when he says, are you aware you're one of the few predator species who also preys even on itself? And I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
I
Just dropping facts.
spoiler alert, I mentioned that in my spoilers without context.
And then Bones' line when they come back on the ship, he's like, I'm quaking, but I don't know if it's with logic or terror. That was a good one. I already did the Kirk line, and then yeah, the last line when Kirk is like, a small boy, a very naughty one at that. Which also, like, he was neither a boy nor small. So like a regular average human man.
Yeah, not to us, but
Meow.
to apparently to his species. Yeah.
What species?
Trelane species.
No, like that's how Kirk describes Trelane.
Yeah, like he describes him as a boy. Yeah, he wouldn't be a boy to us because he looks like a grown man, but he's a boy
Yeah.
in the context of his own species.
Got
because
it.
he
Got it.
gets
Yeah.
chastised by his parents and they take away his
Yes.
toys.
Yeah. I just meant the small part
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think he was just adding on to it. That's all I have.
There's an interesting one where his father, Trelane's father, says they're beings, Trelane. They have spirit. They're superior. Like superior to what? How do you mean?
Yeah.
Like superior to you or superior to other things?
Others. I was curious about that as well.
There was the line where I didn't write it down, but I remember it, where he's Trelane says to Spock, I do like you. You do have a redeeming quality. You're, what was the word? You're ill-mannered.
Oh, yeah.
And then Spock's talking to Trelane, and Spock's like, my father's from the planet Vulcan. And Trelane's like, and are its natives predatory? And Spock says, not generally, but there have been exceptions.
Yes, that was a good one. Good lines.
But that will do it for lines and moments, I think. So that will bring us to That's What They Said.
Okay. Which I think
I started last time. So do you want to?
I'll start. Yeah, I wanted to start anyways, so that worked out well. All right, this is your That's What They Said. Fill me in.
At your service, sirs.
Do let me see it.
Enough talk. Let's get on with it.
Down, Captain. On your knees.
You wanted
That's
to say
it.
that one.
No, I wanted to say that
You
the first
fill me in.
one. Just short and quick. Just a quickie this week.
Just a quickie.
Just a
That
quicker
that will bring us to
trivia.
episode trivia from Memory Alpha, and I have a bunch. So, we'll start with, we talked about it a little bit.
Fill us in with trivia.
Yeah. An M113 creature is among the trophies on display in Trelane's castle. When McCoy, the creature's last defender in the man trap, sees it, he does a double take. During the scene, the howling music theme from that episode is heard. I didn't notice that. That's one of the things, like, there's people who are really, really good at noticing reuse of music and how it's used in episodes and shows. I am not one of them.
Yeah.
I'm awful at it.
No.
So I didn't notice that it was the same music from that episode.
Huh.
But yeah, briefly visible.
People are very on it.
Yeah. Briefly visible
Clearly.
before Trelane vaporizes it with the phaser is a strange bird-like creature with striped legs that is also in a display niche. It was the reuse of the humanoid bird creature costume, fleetingly and partially seen in the Talos Zoo in the cage. I don't think that made it to the menagerie, because I don't remember seeing it in the menagerie. But maybe we'll notice it if we go back and cover the cage itself.
Yeah.
According to an interview with William Campbell in The World of Star Trek, in his fight with William Shatner in the forest, he fell down and dislocated his shoulder. Fortunately, as he flung his arm up in his instinctive reaction to the excruciating pain, the shoulder popped back into its socket. That had to be awful.
Damn. That sucks.
Yeah.
Oh God, I hate dislocated things or like bones that like poke out of the skin. Ugh.
Yeah.
Give me that.
My
Heebie
worst
fucking GBs.
My worst thing with that, fun fact, when it's like horror movies and they show people like crawling on the ground and like their fingernails are digging into the ground and their fingernails start to come off.
Oh no, yeah, that too. No.
Skeeves me out just thinking about it. It's squicky. Blech, don't like it. Anyway, William Campbell's first wig was a French hairpiece. He demanded that an English barrister's wig be found to fit his character. Shatner complained that precious production time was going to be wasted for something he found to be a minor and unimportant detail. Director Don
For the courtroom
McDougal,
scene?
Yeah. Director Don McDougal didn't want a conflict with the series stars, so he called producer Gene Kuhn to the set to arbitrate the matter. Kuhn decided in favor of Campbell, and filming was halted until the English wig was found.
Wow. Damn. Also, Shatner, of course, being like, "This show revolves around me.
Yeah,
gotta do what I want to do."
Trelane's
I think
coat.
I think it added to the scene. I think if he wasn't wearing it, it would not have worked.
Yeah, I don't know if it would have worked right with the incorrect like French version either. But I don't know. Trelane's. What's that?
We'll never know.
We'll never know. Trelane's coat was a costume piece not designed by William Ware Thies, but rented from the Western Costume Company. The same coat can be seen in the Gilligan's Island episode Lovey's Secret Admirer and the Monkeys episode The Prince at the Pauper. Fun facts. A October 27th, 1966 memo from Bob Justman to Gene Kuhn stated in part, "If we transport McCoy, Yeager, and DeSalle down to the surface of Gothos in the orange spacesuits that we used in the Naked Time, then the audience will take a full half hour to stop laughing from what our people look like."
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, the bubble suits.
Yeah, I don't recall them being. I recall them being like weird during the Naked Time, but not enough to. I guess he just really didn't like those spacesuits.
Maybe when they aired it, it got some, like, people were laughing at it then.
How? Yeah, maybe because they are kind of ridiculous looking, but I don't think they're that
Yeah,
bad.
totally. There's a fucking mannequin in that episode, clearly. I think they did worse
yeah,
things.
for sure.
Yeah.
When first encountered, Trelane is playing the Sonata in C major, K.159 by Domenico Scarlatti. The second tune Trelane plays after showing the flags to Captain Kirk and stating, "Can't you imagine it, Captain? The thousands of men marching off to their deaths singing beneath these banners. Doesn't it make your blood run swiftly?" is Sonata in G minor, K.450 by same dude. The tune Trelane has a hora play on the harpsichord is Roses from the South by Johann Strauss II. There you go.
All right.
That is your episode trivia from Memory Alpha. That will bring us to everybody's favorite
Memes.
part of the show.
Memes.
Spoilers without context.
Love them. We love the memes.
We love the subs. Do you remember those commercials?
No.
The Quiznos commercial? Oh, you're in for a ride. Okay. I believe Ensign Kayla went first last time, so we will bring my spoilers
You
without
can go
context.
first.
First. Fingers. So the most dangerous game, because of Trelane's comment about we're the only predatory species that preys on its own kind. And have you read The Most Dangerous Game?
Nope.
No, you don't know what it is?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, so The Most Dangerous Game. Basically they
you don't have to go into it.
Basically a rich dude brings a bunch of people to an island so people hunt people for sport.
Oh, Hunger Games.
Yeah,
sort of. Just done Hunger Games.
I could have. Napoleon, because of
Napoleon.
Trelane and Napoleon. Yeah. Then
just because Napoleon.
Yeah. Neo doing the I know Kung Fu because of Trelane essentially basically giving Uhura knows how to play the harpsichord now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the glass slipper from Cinderella for Kirk's comment about that. And it is kind of interesting. This is the second time in 3 episodes that a yeoman was given a princess costume.
Yeah, it is.
Barrows in Shore Leave, and now Ross in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although this one didn't have nearly as ridiculous of a hat.
No. And Kirk was like, "Fuck this hat."
Yeah.
Get the fuck off.
So that does it for mine. We will bring Ensign Kayla's up.
All right. Because of the courtroom scene, we have a old-timey courtroom dude with the wig. Not that exciting. Because I think Spock literally said how they look like, or not Spock, Bones said how they look like wax figures. Both Kirk and Sulu. I had to do the wax figures, which I was searching like wax figures, and I was like, who am I gonna do? And then I saw Ryan Reynolds. I was like, oh, that's perfect. Plus it says Madame Tussauds behind it, so you know what it is. And then the Hamilton Burr infamous duel, and then Wizard of Oz, green dude in the sky. Green people, not premonitions, fucking what's the word? Help me.
I don't know which word you mean. The
in the sky.
Aurora?
Ghosts?
No. Incorporeal projections?
Wow, that's way too complicated for what I was trying to say.
Hallucinations?
No.
I don't know what word you're looking for.
Why are words hard? I don't know. Green blobs in the sky. Green flubber. Slimer. There we go. There's your spoilers without context for this episode. You're welcome. And if you have any, please send them to us or tag us in them on the socials at GTFO channel. Or you can email channelgtfo@gmail.com.
Indeed. That will bring us to ranking the episode. So, Ensign Kayla, how do you rank the Squire of Gothos?
I'm gonna give it a captain.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's fun. It's very different. I say that. I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. But it is. Especially because, like, just when you think they're getting off, like, they take
Yeah.
you for a loop every time. Like, you can't really predict what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, we got fucking Spock saying, I believe it's pronounced tally-ho. I can't
That
get
by
over
itself
that.
is enough reason
That by
to...
itself. Captain. Captain. Anytime he says tally-ho. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I already kind of know that it's an iconic episode.
Mhm.
So that might have influenced me a little bit in giving it captain.
So how did you know that it was already...
Because I've seen things.
You've seen
I've
things?
seen things. That's all I will say.
All right.
I follow a lot of fucking Trek accounts now. Thank you
Well,
very much. Because
now,
once again,
yeah.
as we said last episode, I do all the social medias. So I follow a lot. And so I've seen things. And things aren't memed unless they're from iconic episodes for the most part.
Fair.
Yeah. So I've seen like a screenshot of Trelane playing the, what is it called again? Not the piano.
Harpsichord.
Harpsichord. That is a word. So yeah, it was good. Had a lot of people involved, even though Trelane was problematic, obviously. Yeah, fun, like new idea and trope. Yeah, it was interesting to see how they were gonna get out of things, and Kirk and him kind of being like, no, I'm the one who has to get us out of this. Yeah, I just, yeah, I think this is more so for my own enjoyment. I'm giving it captain, but it's my ranking. I can do what I want with it.
You can.
So
Yep.
I'm gonna give it a fucking captain. Go
I mean,
fucking watch this episode. You won't regret watching this episode.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm giving it captain too for many of the reasons that you mentioned, as well as like, and you said about, it was a lot of fun, and you said you feel like we've been saying that a lot lately. We had and we talked about this, like the first couple episodes of the first half of the season, we had a lot of samey stuff right after the other. But we've been getting into a stretch of episodes where each one is different from what came before it. I don't think we've given anything. It's been a while since we even had a lieutenant or an ensign. Like,
yeah, it
everything's
has
been pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm also
So
giving it captain.
anyone who is saying we poo-poo on things, clearly you didn't stick around to watch us. What's the opposite of poo-poo? Not pee-pee.
Praise.
Unless you're into water sports. Praise the episode.
And you mentioned, Trelane is problematic, but it's problematic with purpose and to shine light on like things that obviously are not okay. Like the entire crew is like, dude, you're way out of touch.
Yeah, like Kirk is not okay with that, even though Kirk kind of does his own shit. But yeah, they're clearly not okay with it. It would be different if they were okay with it. But since they weren't, it was good. Yeah.
Okay. So that will do it for the Squire of Gothos. Our next episode is Arena. IMDb.com says, for bringing hostility into their solar system, a superior alien race brings Captain Kirk into mortal combat. Against the reptilian captain of an alien ship he was pursuing. I had to do that, but now I've got the Mortal Kombat like techno soundtrack going through my head. So
a reptilian. Interesting. Okay, we'll see. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us. It's been fun. It's been real as usual. If you haven't already, please smack that like, smack that subscribe, smack that bell icon, smack all the things. Follow us on social media at GTFO channel. Or if you want to email us, like we said before, it is channelgtfo@gmail.com. Yeah, this has been fun. Thanks for geeking the F out with us. Until next time, peace and long life.
Live long and prosper.
Bye.